they don't realize the complexity of what they're in, and the project's been dangling out there for 4 years now, and they had to shake up reorgs, and several of the key systems guys quit.
Now, what you need to do on a major port is you have one guy who knows what he's doing, or one lady who knows what she's doing, to be in charge and make sure things get done and manage the project. You know, that's really the key to it.
Yeah, the project guy manager left too at the end of the year. So they have a new lady who's kind of lighting the fire under everybody, but
That's what you need. But you ought to understand the breadth of the project and be able to work with management on that. And know what it's going to cost to do. But you have to have the skills.
yeah.
But you got guys, red hat guys up in Westford, like your friend in that group. And I've known a number of 20 years or so. And
Could you give me some free support from those guys? Or?
I can't get you anything from those guys. I would give him a call.
I did. I mean, Steve?
See,
I've already contacted him. He's really busy with his life, his family. He has a lot of things going on.
okay.
But I think I can shake something out of him. But he's got a lot of family things going on.
Yeah, there's a group down there that's pretty heavy, there's a performance group. And I don't know if you know Barry Marston, he's down there.
Marsden?
Marson,
M-A-R.
M-A-R-S-O-N.
Did he ever come here?
I don't remember Barry ever being here. Barry is an old digital guy. I've known him for years. Actually, I've known his family since I was a kid. Barry works for Shack.
So I made it easy.
Yeah, we did. We did it upstairs.
I'm sorry?
You did it upstairs.
I know. I didn't even have to pull out the device to double check the room number.
Yeah.
I have to go. I'll be right back.
Okay, you have your conference call to go to?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. I'm not going to start.
But don't worry about
another
me.
10, 15 minutes.
Don't worry about me. Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about you, John.
Okay, thank you.
I can't start until John gets his camera going. All we need here is Charisse. How you doing?
Hey, hurry.
Good. Have a seat. Anywhere. Okay, I'll be starting in about 10 minutes. And when I'm making the presentation, even when I'm in the formal presentation, don't be shy, ask questions or stop me at any point.
Just gonna run up to the bathroom real quick. You want a circle like that? Thanks. Back in a minute.
It's closer to the bathroom here, John. Upstairs on the third floor, you need a roadmap to get to the bathroom. There should be a sign-up sheet going around. Yeah, so everybody should sign in. Not that John ever reads it.
No power at the desks like the other room. Probably can reach that one.
Mark, it's 7:04 p.m. Wednesday, February 19th, 2020, Blue meeting. Want to get go to the beginning? All right.
Yeah, we're talking about disabilities. I have an automatic disability from the VA because I have diabetes type 2, and that's any veteran that served in Vietnam automatically, if they have diabetes, they automatically get 20% disability right off the bat.
My brother was in the Air Force, and then he had a car crash, and he ended up on 100% disability due to head injuries. He's basically got the same thing as the TBI cases that are coming back from Iraq.
That's all right. I was in a helicopter crash, but no one was hurt. Well, I think the chaplain that was on board got a cut on his ear.
That's nothing compared with what happens when a Volkswagen Beetle has a collision with a Lincoln Town Car on a rural highway in New Jersey.
It's all right. My first Tesla collided with a tractor trailer, or at 0 speed.
His affiliations, BCS is
Boston Computer Society.
And if you're not either of those, do you write something in if you want?
No, you can write anything in you want.
Okay.
The only reason John uses that is really if you leave something in the classroom or something,
Oh.
so we can contact you.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, John never reads them. Is that correct, John?
What's that?
The sign-up sheets.
Yeah, I never actually read them.
Okay.
Except there was one time, a number of years ago, where somebody left something behind in the room,
Yeah.
and I was able to track the person down from the guest sheet.
Yeah, we never use that for putting anybody on a listserv or anything else.
Yeah. I already get stuff,
Yeah.
but I get it through Foster. Anybody else?
I just want to mention, John, Lee, I don't think anybody else knows Lee Benjamin.
Lee Benjamin, was he here today?
Lee had a stroke and is in the hospital.
Oh, that's too bad.
I've got to check with Ron. I don't know any more detail about it. Problem with that is that I set up several listservs for him, and he has all the email addresses that go on his listservs. So those listservs are never going to get set up. The listservs are set up, it's just they're never populated. So I'll give people another 5 minutes and then I'll start.
Okay. So Roger Stone is going to get sentenced tomorrow by the hanging judge.
Yeah, it'll be a pardon by the end of the week.
Yeah, he probably would. Excuse me?
I missed the, did he say something about being pardoned the next
Oh,
day?
yeah, he'll probably get pardoned by the end of the week.
I think he's the punchline, he's gonna say, I was thinking the next day, but.
That is the next day. Tomorrow, the sentencing, end of the week is Friday.
yeah. You're right.
I thought that was implied.
For some reason, I'm thinking it's earlier in the week, and I'm glad I was wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you gonna do? I know a few things I'll be doing.
Actually, she'll give him a sentence, and there'll be a tweet storm for the next day or so.
I don't know if you'll even get to that point before the pardon.
Pardon does take some paperwork.
A few hours. I think they're gonna want it in the same news cycle though.
Okay. Go ahead and start the presentation. Atom bills itself as a hackable letter for the 21st century. I have to fix this here. I did not proofread this, obviously. Okay. Okay, the first thing, I'm going to display some information from the Atom Flight Manual, which is really the manual that comes with, that you get with Atom. It's actually totally online. I'll display a bunch of screenshots, and then thirdly, I'm going to demo a few Python scripts I'm working on. And I'll run a Python script directly from Atom, which is how I operate. I almost never have to go to the console and work. Okay, this is the first screen. If you install Atom, this is the first screen you're going to get. Let me see if I can make it bigger here. Nope. Anyway, this is your first screen. It's a welcome screen. It has just about everything on it that you can do. I have mine set up that comes up automatically with the previous code panels I've been running, so this gets in my way. But it's nice to have up when you're first starting out. And as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, Atom is a flight manual, extensive guide. Here's the URL for Atom. It's on our website. And that's really where you can go to get your questions answered, go for the FAQ and everything else. And Atom can be downloaded directly from the flight manual, which I will show you. Here's the installation screen. And if you go to the command line, you've got for Debian and Ubuntu, for Fedora, and for SUSE, all you need to do is cut and paste these things. In Fedora, I haven't done a Debian or Ubuntu install, but for Fedora, all you do is cut and paste, and what it does, it installs the Atom repo, so that you always get the latest versions, just like you would get the latest versions from the Fedora repo and stuff like that. Okay. And as I mentioned, the flight manual has very detailed instructions. Oh, that can be copied and pasted. All right. As I had mentioned in things, I'm a long-time Emacs user. I started using Emacs in the early 1980s when I was at Cadmus Computer. I used to be a Vi user, and Emacs was being built at that time at our company, God's Own Editor. And Emacs is a great editor. At that time, we were using Gosling Emacs because we had actually sold Emacs with our product. So I've been using Emacs for a long time, and I've used it for C and C++ primarily. And when I was at IBM, I used it for Tickle and Python. When I moved to Red Hat, that was the downfall of Emacs. I know how to code, get things working, but there were a few nits and stuff like that. My code had to be, before I could check my code in, it had to be clean. No trailing spaces at the end of lines, for instance, and it had to go through nitpicking, what's called PEP 8 check. So the code had to be very clean before it would even allow me to check in. And that's the way the check-in software worked. And we did code reviews and stuff like that. And my team members in Westford used Eclipse, and I hate Eclipse. I've always hated Eclipse, even when I was doing Java. So I went back. One of the team members down in Raleigh suggested Atom, and he started pushing that to the other team members. I don't know, just his name was Adam also. Different. Anyway. I've looked at Genie. I thought Genie was somewhat lightweight. Yeah, Genie is an IDE for Python. Works decently. I didn't like it. One of the things I wanted to display in Emacs is I always used Emacs as my file manager. And as well as my code editor and stuff like that. And Emacs supports multiple panes or multiple windows and stuff like that. And I always had multiple code fragments up at the same time. I took a look at PyCharm. PyCharm is, I think, a better IDE. It's very Python oriented. It's not open source. And to my knowledge, it doesn't do panes, and let me fix my presentation. There we go. And again, I'm going to show you panes later, but I like to have multiple either pieces of the same code or maybe 2 or 3 things that I'm working on at the same time up on the screen at the same time. One of the ways I operate is I might have a fairly complex program and I want to see how something works. So what I might have is I might have a smaller program that does a similar thing and test what I want in that program. Once I get it working, I'll just port it over to my major program. And that's why I like multiple panes. That's just the way I've always worked. As I mentioned, panes and Atom terminology. Built-in file manager, Atom, Genie, and Python all have tree views, so they both meet that. Different themes, they all have different themes. And text editors can be very personal. Everybody has their own favorite text editor. You know, we started with Tico. Some people love Tico. I went to the Emacs. I'd been using Vi for about 4 or 5 years. I switched over to Emacs because I found it a much, much better editor than Vi. But it gets personal. I know a lot of Unix and Linux people that use Vi. Most of them come over from Sun because one of the previous owners of Sun was Bill Joy, who wrote Vi. And here's some screenshots. Can you see them okay? This is hard, I can't even make this bigger. But over here, I just want to show you what we have. We've got the file name, then I'm editing down in the left corner. And we've got errors and warnings and line and column number. So this has errors right here. Right now this code is 0 errors, warnings, and info. And that's your thing. If your editor can catch errors for you, why don't you go look at the other screen over there?
This is even better.
Okay, you can do that. So that's one of the things I like about Atom. But other editors have similar things. So. And down here, I just want to explain this. LF, what that means is that your line ending is going to be a line feed or a Unix line ending rather than a Windows CRLF, which is the other standard line ending. Linux and Unix have used just a single character for ending a line since Unix was developed in 1970. Windows, for some stupid reason, went to carriage return line feed. So it's just a difference. UTF-8 versus ASCII. Python, this is the language I'm using. When we get into the editor, I'll pull that down. You can see a whole bunch of languages that are supported by Atom. I have Git integrated into this. Does everybody know what Git is? So I can check in code. I can even push code up to GitHub and stuff like that. And so this gives me some of the Git stuff. You know, it doesn't. Git's one of, I think Git. Well, there's several different Git packages that you can install. Right now, I've got Git Plus installed. There's a Git Plus Plus and a few others. Okay. Panes.
Not tabs, but panes.
What?
Not tabs, but panes.
Panes and tabs.
Right, I see that, yeah.
Okay. On the left-hand side, you have a pane that has your tree view. That has your project or multiple projects, which I'll have 3 projects up on the live demo. Okay. And in this case, on the left-hand side, I have the same program. I have towards the top of the program and towards the bottom of the program, which I was actually doing the other day, where I need to look at what I did up top so I could do it correctly down below. Instead of having to bounce between them, I just painted like that. And this is another program over there. Again, this is one of my little test programs where I'm doing some stuff with the tree view.
As you're editing, is everything saved automatically or no?
It is not.
It's not, okay.
However, if you crash, you'll have a backup that's saved. So you're probably not going to lose anything. Most editors do that now.
It's a pretty good use case for a 4K monitor.
Excuse me?
So this looks like a pretty good use case for a 4K monitor.
Yes, it is.
But you have to have it in that one window. You can't have another window open on another monitor. And when you're stacking frames vertically, 1080 get a 1080 vertical resolution gets painful really fast.
You can get, this works fine on multiple monitors and stuff like that.
Okay, can you open another window?
Excuse me?
Can you open up another window?
Yes.
To do it, and then it'll, or do you have to have it as a whole separate?
No, you can't. Or the same, it doesn't matter. That's more of a Linux, Windows issue. Down here is where you do compares. Control X, or just clicking on the X will make this disappear. So you have more screen used for editing. You do a Control F or find, this comes up, and if you have something selected here, it'll come down here. So does that. You can do find and replace, find all, case sensitive. You have regular expressions that you can use if need be. I don't go into a lot of that. I do sometimes case sensitive because Linux is very case sensitive. And so is Python. Okay, I'm just going to do some demos of the code. Again, one of the things I'm going to do is a thing called EXIF data. I did that actually for the Federal Public Defender's Office. My son-in-law actually used to work there up until a couple of weeks ago. And he had kind of a command line thing which uses the EXIF data that's actually included in Linux anyway. But I'll show you, this is a graphical one that a forensic scientist can use for that. And I'm going to go through all the menus and stuff like that. Feel free, again, as usual, to ask questions. And again, here's the Atom menu. And as you see on the left, I have my views. I have my tree view on the left. Now, the panes are expandable. So you have splitters between them. You can make them bigger, smaller, and stuff like that. So they're very flexible. So let's bring up on one side my dedupe, the other side EXIF data. You'll notice that both of these programs, before I start, I really want to show you the menus. So you have the normal file menu. So, new window, new file, open things, add a project folder. You can reopen a project or reopen a last item, all the normal junk you have in almost everything. Edit is very simple, very similar to just about everything else you've used. Almost every editor has the same thing. View is nice to have, but here you have your panes. You can split your panes, split up, split right, split left. So let's do a split left here.
Can you erase that?
Yep. Just kill the pane, that's all. So pane, I'm going to split this pane up. So that was stupid. So let's kill this pane here. There we go. I'm using the shortcut, Control K. There are all sorts of shortcuts. And we're going to go here, selection, add selection above, split into lines, single section, all sorts of editing stuff here. find and replace, normal stuff there, and packages. Packages is a big thing I wanted to show you. They're a bunch of standard packages that come with the system. Like here in Python, you get the bracket matcher, you get command palette, live reload. I have my Git key binding. You can change, by the way, all your key bindings if you want. Open GitHub, package generator. You can generate an Atom package if you want to build an Atom package. You can auto format your Python code. That's settings. White space, remove trailing white space. That kind of stuff. And if you want to run package, you notice at the top they're tabs. So I might have had other things that edited here. So I can go to the various tabs what I had.
Are those remembered every time, or is that there are tabs associated with that window, or
They're associated with that pane.
with that pane, right?
Yeah, so
It's
if I,
saved under a project then, from that?
Excuse me?
It's saved under a project,
yeah.
that would bring those up?
Mm. So it remembers what you did the last time. And you can clean it up if you want. So let's go ahead and let's run this real quick. So I'm going to do func F7, F6. And that's going to bring in the main screen. And so what I'm going to do is do File, Open Images. We'll open a folder. And I'm going to go to, since Dropbox. And I'm going to go to this is my wife's home directory. And so let's go ahead and just choose this folder. So what this is going to do, if you notice that, it's going to load all the images that are in that folder. I have another option that is, recursive. But I found that if I have too many, it's going to crash. So I have a limit of 350. So I have all these images, so I can bring up the image. Let's see what we have here. Okay. And on this side, you have all the EXIF data that comes with it. This is good for forensics. There's a reason I did this for him.
So this is your program running?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All I had to do in Atom was press F6. One of the other features of this particular program is that I found that a number of these came laying on their side, and it looks at the EXIF data, and if you look at image orientation, if it's different, it's going to reset the orientation automatically. So, but I can rotate any way I want. But it's not a photo editor. It's not. If you want to do some really good photo editing, this is not. This is something I hacked up for them real quick, and they wanted mainly to look at this stuff. You know, for crimes and stuff like that, you have to analyze a lot of photos. It's an Afghan my wife did years ago. As I said, I'm in her home directory.
So how many keys do you have? Is it a lot more than
Yeah. It depends on the photo and the camera.
that? Oh, okay.
It actually has the thumbnail size.
Oh.
So that has nothing to do with my presentation. It's just that
No, I know that.
it was code I wanted to run. So let's exit this. I don't have a save on this because it's not a photo editor. Now, another thing I want to take a look at is we're going to go back to the welcome screen. And I've got it, I still have it here. Okay, I'm in there. If you look at this settings, I'm in the package manager, and there are a whole bunch of core settings and stuff like that. This is settings. I've got edit settings. I'm not going to go over each individual thing. It's got a lot of settings. As I mentioned, key bindings. You can change those. And then packages. I have 94 packages installed. Some actually come installed with Atom. Some get installed when you select a language. I've added a whole bunch of packages. Atom Python Run is the one you get for F6 to run your program. Busy Signal, I forget what that really does. Git Plus, as I mentioned. I don't know what intentions is. I have to look at that.
It's probably like tooltips, I think.
What?
It's like, because in PyCharm, they're like those
Yeah.
things that pop up.
Right, probably don't need that. Linter, which is the underlying lint program. Python PEP 257, PEP 8. And again, I don't really need that now that I'm not constrained by working in some kind of David Kramer type environment, which would be the stuff that he likes that I don't like. But they have a whole bunch of core packages. These are all submitted by the community. Autocomplete, hints, and stuff like that. And so you can go through these packages when you load it, and I'm sure there are many packages, of course. And you have themes. Every decent editor has different themes. I'm in the Atom Dark. Let's look at an Atom Light theme. That's what it will look like. I prefer the dark theme. Updates or no updates. It notifies you when there are packages to be updated, and all you need to do is click on either update all or stuff like that. And you can install packages. For instance, Hydrogen is up here. Hydrogen is another package that you can run code under. I started using that, and I didn't like the way it did it, because it always asked me whether I'm going to use Python 5 or Python 6. Whereas the one I'm using right now is F6 automatically does Python 3. So it's the personal preference. Hydrogen's probably has more stuff in it. And Atom Clock I don't have. A whole bunch of things. So, and then of course you have the help license about Atom and stuff like that. And the welcome guide, of course, which you've seen before. Open a project, version control, collaborator with teletype, package, themes, I just showed you. So now what I want to do is I want to go into the flight manual. So let's just go into the basic flight manual and show you that. get your flight manual, it's got all the things. I love it because I'm a pilot, or I used to be a pilot. So I always had flight manuals. You know, when somebody shoots at you, you then have to figure out what to do when they shoot at you.
And the flight mail sticking out to stop the bullet.
I had to make a decision early in my career. Did I want to crash and burn and die, or did I want to crash and burn and recover? As a programmer, you can crash and burn and recover most of the time, unless you're testing a Tesla and you're doing the autopilot. But in any case, so you have all these things. I'm not going to go through the individual things of the flight manual because you can just type Atom in Google and be able to find it. How to hack it, how to make your own package and stuff like that. Okay, so we're going to be back in. It's another one of my programs that I had a need. I just need the main program here. I'll just move it over here. I had a need to, thanks to Nancy. What's Nancy's last name? Anyway, from InstallFest, Nancy and also Rocky have all sorts of duplicated files in their system. And I thought it would be good to have a deduplicator program. There is a command line deduplicator, but something more graphical. So I wrote this specifically for Nancy. And she has
Nancy van Schoendervert.
no, not Nancy with a long name, the
Oh.
other Nancy.
Another one?
The documenter.
That's the only Nancy we have a speaker in there.
She's the one that comes to our install fence almost every time.
Oh, well, she's never given a meeting, so she's not in the speaker list on the calendar.
She's come to our meetings.
What?
She's come to many of our meetings.
No, I said she's not in the calendar as a speaker at one of her meetings.
No,
but
she's never
not
been a
in the
speaker.
Right, so I can't look her up.
Let me just see. Let me go to my email here. Nancy Ellison. Nancy is a tech writer. And she has copies of 2 or 3 directories on her system. So, you know, I wrote this deduplicator program. You know, when you're retired, you can do things like that. It's not something that you know, that everybody's going to use, but it's thing. But if you look at my code up here, everything is color coded, so you can almost see. And this is different from my main computer. This has to be one of the packages I loaded on here that I don't have on my main computer for some reason. But it's going to be color coded so you can see different aspects of the program. And one of the other things you have here is you want to be able to view in Python. It has vertical lines that you can type so you know where everything lines up, because Python having things indented thing is, one of the things that this does is I have columns, and I wanted to sort the columns. I'll actually run this. Oh. So I don't have any duplicates here. But what I wanted to have, I have a file name, number of links, size of the file, the inode number and the full path. And I wanted to sort on size, but size is numeric. But in the item that you have to use for the tree view, it's in text. So the standard sort's going to sort ASCII or UTF-8, which is not a numeric sort. And so I needed numeric sort, so I had to write a little sort procedure. And it was driving me crazy, it wouldn't work. And the reason it wouldn't work is because this was indented. And so it thought it belonged to a knit program. And it wasn't hitting the beginning of this at all. I had to be bugging in there, and it just wasn't working at all. Finally, I looked at it and says, oh, this is indented. And with Atom, I can select a whole thing of code and indent or outdent, stuff like that. Atom also has a macro thing. I haven't figured out the keystroke macro on this yet for some reason. I used to use keystroke macros in Emacs all the time to do certain things. But that's another feature of Atom. It probably is a feature in Genie and stuff like that. And this program doesn't demo well on my laptop because I don't have any duplicates, which I do in my home directory. I originally wrote this program in GTK, and my GTK version on my home directory takes 15 minutes to run. This program takes under a minute on the same data. And it just showed that my algorithm was really sucky. And so the new program was a different algorithm. So the choice of an algorithm is important. Programs equal data plus algorithms. Isn't that Wirth? That was his data structures program. But it's important in programming that your data structures are very important in programming. And if you choose the right data structures, your program will probably work a lot better. And I was probably doing multiple file comparisons, which take a long time. In this case, I sorted by size, so I knew everything was a different size. So anything that was grouped in the same size, I would compare, unless they were the same inode. If they're the same inode, they're obviously a hard link. So, but this program made it very easy for me to convert from GTK to QT. Any other questions you want to see?
I was wondering, there is a command.
Can you talk louder?
There's a key combo that I use in some text editors.
Still alive.
Control Shift Alt, and then I can select columns without selecting the entire lines. And I was trying to figure out if there was an equivalent. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Even it might work in Word or not look as well. It's not an editor, but
When you want to select a column,
yeah, if you open up,
I
have you seen that?
had to do that on punch cards. Years ago, I had a program that ran on punch cards. It wasn't my program. I was a data center manager.
These kids are idiots.
And you've heard the thing before. My computer operator dropped the cards. There were well over 5,000 cards. This guy was a retired Chief Master Sergeant from the Air Force. And he came back from the data center that we actually were renting time. So he came back from the data center in tears. Our data center manager, she died. So the next thing I did is I loaded all the cards in. I threw the cards away, and horrified shriek. The problem with the sort on this thing is there was one column that needed to be sorted properly that was not in alphabetical order. And so what I did is I went into the editor, selected a column, and changed the characters, the individual characters in that column, so that it would sort alphabetically, and then I changed them back to what they were supposed to be. I then pushed it up to tape, gave him the tape, and at his advanced age, he could carry those instead of a whole big tray of 5,000 cards. But when I threw those cards away, they cried. So I'm sure Adam has it. Let's look it up.
Big deal, but it's been useful.
Hold the Alt button, that's the same as a Mac
Yeah.
terminal.
Let's try it.
Drag down at the same time.
Oh. Let me just read that again.
It's more like a box select thing.
Have you already
Simple
installed the
weight
plugin?
column selection. Just add Alt while you select, or select using the middle mouse button.
Do you already have the column select package installed?
What?
Do you already have the package installed?
I may have to.
It's probably in there by default.
Yeah.
That's duplicated.
So you'll have to go across rows and columns in order to get it, I think.
Yeah. Well, we tried, but it has that capability.
Okay.
Pardon me,
thank
fellas,
you.
just gonna pick this microphone up there.
Okay. We'll have to speak louder.
Wow.
Didn't hear you.
Oh, I said I'm just picking
I
that
know,
up.
I
Oh, you're
know.
giving me a hard time, I get it.
I always give you a hard
I
time.
suppose, hearing it. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
To project and serve. That's the immediate.
So, yeah, so it does do that. I just have to figure out how to do it. Sit down and read it for a few minutes and do it. And I'm sure this is a very powerful editor, so you can always look for packages that do things the way you want to do them, or write your own package.
There's a package for Atom called block-select.
Okay.
If you were writing your own package, what sort of environment do you have available? The way Emacs has Lisp built in, for instance.
This has its own package manager built in. I don't know what language it is.
Yeah.
I haven't built my own package yet. Of course, Emacs, you have Lisp, and Emacs was written in Lisp originally.
Can you like graft like kind of more IDE features in terms of like having like a structural outline of like something in terms of like, you know, just like listing all the classes and stuff, or is that a feature that you like miss, I guess, in terms of using a text editor versus using IDE? It's like you'll have like a list like in PyCharm, there's the files, and then you have
You want a pie chart of your classes and stuff like that?
yeah, the class diagram, like just like the class like just as a list.
I can't say yes because I never used that feature.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
But it's something, I think when we looked at the packages earlier, yeah, it has that feature.
So do you know if like Atom like indexes all the code, or like in terms of like say you want to do like find usage or something like that?
Let's
Do you
look.
normally just like Control F or?
Let's see.
Like a good example would be like if you were to like control click on like a method to like, you know, go to the definition or like find usages of a particular like method, I guess.
Yeah, not a question that I can answer off the top of my head, because it's not a feature that I ever found useful.
So normally you like just Control F-ing for just like the text
Yeah.
and navigating through that.
But I think there is, because I've seen something similar. No, we can always look at the package. And open the installer. What would it be called?
Just like find usages or something, or I mean just
Find usage?
yeah. Because I know in PyCharm it's like yeah, control clicking
Okay,
method
yeah.
or something.
Extract usages.
Yeah.
See what you're saying.
Yeah, there are so many packages here that you can do them. And so, I mean, the editor is so powerful. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in here. I think if you're going to do something Python specific and you want more of an IDE to kind of write your outline code for you, PyCharm might do a better job at it. But
There's a technology suite that I just came across earlier this week called Language Server Protocol at langserver.org, which the Atom server is still in development right now.
Oh, cool.
But
Okay.
what it does is it makes the support of languages and editors a x plus y instead of an x times y problem. So it's a go-between, sitting between the language you're programming in and the editor you're programming on it.
That's awesome.
And some of the features of it are code completion, hover, jump to definition, workspace symbols, find references, diagnostics.
That's awesome.
So, and if you go to that site, langserver.org, the number of languages supported already is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And Unfortunately, Adam's implementation is still under development, but there are a lot of other editors that are already there. So I haven't started playing with it yet. Like I said, I just found out about it earlier this week. I'm going to start making use of it. The fact that you can like have all of those features like find references, jump to definition, that sort of stuff, makes it really nice.
I mangled the code earlier when we were doing the column thing, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a git checkout. So checkout in git is going to reload your code from the commits. So now I've gotten rid of the junk that I put in there. I just want to show you something in the bottom where it says Python. And let me see if I can make this bigger here. No, it makes my code bigger. But these are a lot of languages that it has. C++, I know it has Perl. Java, of course.
Ruby.
Ruby. Whole bunch of others, SQL, XML, YAML. Yeah, I do some XML stuff on here because I'm using Qt, or if I'm using Glade. Here's the XML file for the exif data that we've seen, because I used Qt Designer for it. And so it gives you a whole XML. And one of the things they do with this is that every variable in here becomes a variable in self, which I think is much better than what Glade does in GTK. It's one of the issues I had with my config editor is I wanted to save all the status of all the menus. And I had to coordinate that with the names in Glade, and it became a real pain to do that. And it's much easier in here because what I do is I use in my config dictionary is I just use the action names or the button names or whatever directly. So I do, every once in a while I do go to the XML, especially if there's something I want to do in Qt that somehow didn't come out right. Sometimes I'll go in the XML and make a change, and then go back into there to do it. It's more that I'm getting more proficient in the Qt Designer. My background is more into compilers and code, like that more detailed code, and not into graphics. So I've never been really a guy that could step in and do a screen design and stuff like that. So, any other questions?
What platforms have you used for GUI design?
My code, the dedupe program really is designed for a Linux file system. I know it's going to run on Mac. It's certainly not going to run on Windows. It's not intended for Windows. The exif data is intended to run on all three platforms.
So, let me clarify, I wasn't actually thinking of the underlying OS platform, I'm thinking of the GUI toolkits. You've mentioned Qt.
Qt tends to run better on a Mac than GTK, which is one of the reasons I switched to Qt is for that specific purpose. Is my son-in-law tried the GTK version on the Mac and it really didn't work well. So I went to Qt.
Yeah, I was looking at Kiwi, and I think there's one other up and coming name where it's basically HTML and CSS. So it's looks like it should be highly cross-platform, but haven't explored any of them deeply yet, or found anybody else using them yet. So I'm curious. If
I don't do a hell of a lot of graphics work. Most of the stuff I do in graphics is mostly tabular, because I grew up on spreadsheets because I got an MBA in accounting.
I'm looking at things like maybe a home automation interface or something like that, or some really simple stuff.
That's Bob Frankston's. That's his.
I remember his presentation.
Yeah, well,
last year.
I bought my first version of VisiCalc directly from Dan Bricklin. So I do go back. I didn't know Frankston that much. It's when I had an Apple II. You know, I knew what a spreadsheet was because you learn that in accounting. This is a spreadsheet. And you know what Lotus did and then what Microsoft did with Excel really brought it to new levels. That's something Frankston invented. He walks into his house and lights up for it. And I only have one room automated. I've got one thermostat. No, I got two thermostats. My Nest is automated. I've got a wall thermostat. My building was built with baseboard heaters, and central heating air conditioning was added later. And so all the baseboard heaters are there. And I like a warmer environment than my wife. And so when it gets cold downstairs, I'll turn on the baseboard heater upstairs. But the problem is that the old manual controls, I would forget to turn them down, so I'd come in the morning, they'd be on all night, you know, costing me money on electricity. So I went online and found one that worked, that I can connect my Android to. Matter of fact, when Android just upgraded to Android 10, that app didn't work anymore. But I have it set up so that it automatically goes down to the minimum. So if I go to bed and don't forget to change it, it's going to do it. And I get the lights. The light comes on automatically at sundown and turns off like 10 p.m. But that's the most home automation I've done. Yeah, I don't mind turning on and off lights in general. I don't need to be out somewhere else and have to do it. I mean, I do that with my car. I like to turn on the heat in my car about 20 minutes before I go outside. So that's it, unless somebody wants something or they want to go into the flight manual or something.
Pretty powerful. I didn't realize it's that powerful.
I found it very powerful, and it was much more comfortable for me to go to Adam. I didn't know about PyCharm at the time. Nobody at Red Hat used PyCharm. I did know of Eclipse, and I hated Eclipse. I did know about Genie, but it really was too lightweight. And of course, going back to Dick Miller and the Natick Foss, he wouldn't even discuss PyCharm because it's not open source. It's got a community supported version. But the Genie and Atom are both open source, both free and open source.
Do you know, is there any relationship between Atom and VS Code open source? I thought I read somewhere there was, but then when I went looking more deeply, it seemed like there wasn't.
I don't know.
Okay.
So any other questions? It's been a quiet group tonight. Again, I had to prepare this. I hadn't even started preparing it because I was supposed to do a talk, a similar talk for next month. And so I kind of had it planned.
Did Federico cancel or something like that? Last minute?
Federico's in New York, and he doesn't have a choice. You know, when it comes down to, hey Ken, see you later.
Yep.
When it comes down to work and BLU, work always wins.
And we rescheduled for June.
Yeah, but it'll be a different talk because scale will be already over. So,
I guess we're done.
so we're done. Anyway, hope you got everything. Bob, did you learn anything?
Yes, I was able to glean a